evening to the great Tom Fowler, who was at the top, providing the bottom for many Zappa LPs. We salute this amazing Zappa bass player. He also played with Ray Charles, the Fowler brothers, and many more. We are honored to have Ray White in the house tonight. And Shirley, don't call him Shirley, he'll sing about our own City of Tiny Lights and guide us lost angels on a tour of our hometown, including Watts, Hollywood, San Bernardino, and maybe even El Monte, Burbank, Glendale, Irwindale, Downey, and Fullerton. It's a Tinseltown rebellion. Now I want to stress three little words. I love you. Stevie Wonder started his talk at the DNC with those three little words. And Nick, the head of Stinkfoot, was on my podcast talking about his two major influences, Frank Zappa and Stevie Wonder. And just recently we learned that Frank Zappa was hired by Stevie to play a solo on his song All Day Sucker in 1976. And it was not used on the recording, but I'd love to hear that archival gem. In fact, my friend said he saw teenage little Stevie Wonder open for Frank and the mothers at the Shrine many years ago. Now, I think he might have mistaken and he saw little Gary Ferguson, as the poster says. But this is what we do as Zappa researchers, is we try to gather this information and figure out what works and what doesn't. Now, I do know for a fact that Frank brought Eric Clapton up on stage at the Shrine once. And my friend was there, and he said, Eric played an okay solo, and then Frank blew him off the stage. Rightfully so. But another friend of mine talked with Gail's sister, Candy, and she said, one time in the kitchen, Frank was standing there with Eric Clapton, and he said, Candy, this is the greatest guitarist in the world. I have to disagree, but this is much more than a semi-fraudulent overture. It's about peace, love, and eternal cosmic wisdom of cranking Frank. So give yourself and the audience a break. Push the button, pull the chain, and out comes a little brown choo-choo train. Frank Zappa, as he did on David Letterman, touched on this very subject. He said, I don't have any brown lipstick in my makeup kit. Yes, indeed, here we are. Welcome to the Lodge Room to celebrate Frank Zappa with the great Stinkfoot Orchestra. My name is Gerry Fialka, and I'm known by many names. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Fellow Americans, he's been sick. There's a guy from the CIA, and he's been creeping around Highland Park. I think my wife is going to bring him some chicken soup. And I'll tell you a quick little history of Frank Zappa in Los Angeles, and tales of answering the Zappa hotline, 818-PUMPKIN, from 1983 to 1993. Though I did start working, or I should say playing with Frank, on May 10, 1974, at the Flint IMA in Michigan, where I assisted Frank's lighting director, Unity, setting up the lights in my own hometown. But first, this building was built in 1922. That's the same year James Joyce started writing Finnegan's Wake. He finished it in 1939, and 1 year later, Frank Zappa was born in 1940. 26 years later, Frank listed, this guy's laughing, thank God. 26 years later, Frank listed James Joyce as an influence on the Freak Out album. They both forgot to die. But they both also said, all times are happening now. This all-at-onceness resonates in this Masonic temple. Joyce hung around the Masons and revealed their secrets in Finnegan's Wake. Frank's Freemason certificates were sold at his auction by Ahmet a few years ago. Moon posted a photograph of their bookshelves, and inside a glass bookshelf marked off limits were books of this sort. Now caution, theories say that Mozart was killed for revealing Masonic secrets in the magic flute. One never knows, does one? That's all I would say. Since it is now a full moon time, and her new Newsweek article is a must-read, Moon Zappa wrote this big article in Newsweek. Check it out. Listen up. She starts with a talk about a sidewalk stencil graffiti in the valley. Not all cults are bad. That's grounds for further research indeed, since Mallarmé said music is the best, most inclusive cult. This dude spawned all the rock poets. Mallarmé, the symbolist poet, he said to define is to kill, to suggest is to create. You know, paint the effect you want, not the painting. So there's the etymology of the word cult, comes from cultivate. And you combine that with the Japanese root word for Zappa, meaning garden utensil. This is for real. It sounds funny, but Simon Prentice is a specialist, and he's worked with Frank for many years, and that's how you translate the word Zappa from Japanese. So Frank taught us all to dig deep and go to the library, educate yourself, learn new knowledge and critical thinking skills. As the American Indians, native indigenous say, your enemy is your best teacher. Now, a Zappa fan called the Zappa hotline once and said, Frank, do you want the KKK papers that are thrown on my driveway? And Frank said yes, because he knew he wanted to explore all kinds of information. Crowley, Fulcanelli, Morning of the Magicians, the Masons, and he even bought one of the greatest political researchers, Mae Brussel, her first computer. In fact, John Fusciani from the Peppers helped deliver that computer to Frank's house. It's up to you guys to realize that you can listen to Mae Brussel on YouTube and hear her deep research that Frank was really fond of. In fact, it was on the Dinah Shore TV show where Frank said, I'm a documentary reporter. He knew pattern recognition leads to comprehensive awareness, the big picture. That's the big note. Movies for our ears. The power of pop music to corrupt and putrefy the minds of world youth is limitless. This guy laughs on command. Thank you.
My brain has been corrupted.
Dude, at least you have ears, like Captain Beefheart says. If you have ears, use them. I'm grateful because I'm grateful because Frank Zappa taught us that music is the best, to have fun and embrace contradictions. I was lucky. I got to drive Frank to the dentist once. As we passed Hollywood High School on Sunset Boulevard, I saw Original Sound's offices. These are the offices of Art Laboe across the street. And I said to Frank, got any Art Laboe stories? And Frank said, yeah, he used to give us his employees their paycheck on Friday and then play craps with them and win it all back. It's for real, people. Okay, so that's in 1988, a fan called the hotline and was telling me that the song Memories of El Monte was in the Dennis Hopper film called Colors about LA gangs. If you're aware that Memories of El Monte by the Penguins was written by Frank Zappa and Ray Collins and released on Original Sound, Art Laboe's label, in 1963. So I was told to call up Art and ask if there was any songwriter payment due. Eventually, and I got to talk to Art Laboe, and eventually Art sent us a check, and it was dog-eared and brown-edged. And the phone number on the check was like HO57330. This is how phone numbers were listed many years ago, pre-area code. This was clearly indicating Art rarely wrote any checks to anyone. These two stories may lead you to call Art Laboe a record executive prick. These are 3 words that Frank sang on his album Tinseltown Rebellion. So Frank Zappa and his then manager Bennett Glotzer had hired Marty, and sorry I forgot his last name, if anybody knows I'd love to recall it. Marty Perales? No, it's not Marty Perales. To literally they hired someone like a pro to get Frank Zappa's music played on the radio. Yeah, right. That's where you're really supposed to have. At least when I said that at the baked potato, the guy got it. High aspirations indeed. I went up to Marty one day and I says, how does it feel to promote a product with those 3 words, record executive prick? He says, well, there's pricks in every business. Kinda ironic. So back to Frank embracing contradiction as a way of seeing the paradoxical exuberance of being through language and manipulating satire. Dig this. By telling you these 2 stories, Art Laboe may appear to you as being a record executive prick, but he really was not. Art passed away at the age of 97 last year. He literally helped Frank early on release a lot of pre-Mother singles, like Hollywood Persuaders with Brunion Run, Mr. Clean, and he also gave money to Frank to bail himself out of jail. So more so, Art Laboe produced concerts at the El Monte Legion Stadium where he gathered Hispanics, blacks, and whites to dance to rock and roll. Then, at that point, that was a no-no.
And so was that.
Sorry about that. It's evident. I was heckled at Venice West, and now that's a cosmic way to heckle me, I'm sure. But here's the punchline. Art specialized in song dedications, being a DJ in LA for 79 years. Like, you know, this next song goes out to Fujiata Mama from Gerry, You Are the One. Imagine being a DJ for 79 years, celebrating the magic of music. Kudos to Art Laboe. He was a true pioneer in Los Angeles, and he supported Frank in his earliest endeavors. And also on that drive to the dentist, I asked Frank about quoting Richard Rodgers from the song Surrey with the Fringe on Top in a 1973 guitar solo in Australia. He said, I heard all that shitty music. He said, dude, that's not shitty music. Rodgers' music had a huge influence on Frank, like in Punky's Whips. He quotes, isn't it romantic? And I highly recommend you check out Zach Tabori, our dear friend who's playing in Dweezil's Plan, singing the whole Punky's Whips song, and you can hear the quote of Richard Rodgers, isn't it romantic? Frank's also talking about the wind swishing across the plains. That's from Oklahoma. And that's in Thinfish. And those exotic marimba runs like Flower Drum Song. But Frank collaged so many sounds together. from the blues of Guitar Slim and Hubert Sumlin to Edgar Varese, and this resonates. The present day composer refuses to die. To the hilarity of Spike Jones, to the all greasy East LA, in this whole area we're in. All the bands mentioned in Memories of El Mani, the Satins, In the Still of the Night, the Shields, You Cheated, the Heartbeats, 1,000 Miles Away, Marvin and Johnny, Cherry Pie, Tony Allen, Night Owl. But a very special mention has to go to Vernon Green and the Medallions. Their song, The Letter, evokes this whole thing of making up words. This is inventing new language like Joyce did with Finneganese. And Moon mentions it in her Newsweek article that Frank made up a word, Gream, G-R-E-A-M, which is the day between Thursday and Friday. Somebody's listening. Thank you. So these are the two lines in the letter that Frank used in Reuben and the Jets. Sweet words of piss modality. And he discusses the pompous of love. I highly recommend the 2019 book entitled Zappa Doo-Wop by Bruce Whitaker. It's a deep dive into the Frank Zappa's love for this special music. Frank never feared going way out. Check his version of Dead Air on YouTube, very Cajun. And just nearby in Pasadena, Frank was a guest DJ on KPPC in 1968, and he literally played 17 minutes of a record skipping. Now, the guys at KPFK called up and said, dude, you're record skipping. And Frank said, I know, that's what we're doing. We're playing 17 minutes of a record. There's also an amazing song Frank wrote called Approximate. This is Dweezil's doing it on his tour right now. We don't need no stinking instruments. If you can't say it, sing it. If you can't sing it, dance it. Bruce Fowler, who's here in the house tonight, knows this because ants can count and dinosaurs can dance. Now, they performed this song with no instruments, pantomime, in the lobby of a hotel in Europe. These rich dudes come up to Frank and his band and they say, dude, can you do a song for us, the great Frank Zappa? And he conducted these guys in this pantomime dance called Approximate with no sound. So this is like silence, dance, and pantomime, the range Frank operated in. So in 1963, not far from here, Frank premiered some of his original compositions at Mount St. Mary. One of the audience members said, do you consider this to be music? Frank was hurt by this comment, but he kept trudging across the tundra of life. On 200 Motel soundtrack, I love it when Jimmy Carl Black's voice comes in the middle of a wild orchestral composition and says, what the fuck was that? Do you call that music? Now that's the major problem with most of these Frank Zappa documentaries is they don't emphasize music and composing. But there's a savior. Tyler Bartman's YouTube channel, his tutorials are very fun and informative, and you can learn a lot more. So I'm going to shut up really soon, and we're going to bring up Kahlil Sabbagh, who is also keeping Frank Zappa's music alive with his 15-year-old son, Kylan. He's playing Zappa compositions at our Beat Show and our Lit Show in Venice, and he's due to open with his dad, Kahlil, who's getting over there on the vibes at our Jazz Film Night on October 13. at Beyond the Road. So this is a chance for you to experience solo vibes on a song called Time is Money. This is from Hutch and Toot, which is first heard on the album Sleep Dirt as an instrumental, and it was later released with lyrics sung by Thana Harris. Barbra Streisand was asked to star in this Hutch and Toot opera that Frank wrote. But we're going to dedicate this little instrumental song to the great Ed Mann, who's up in heaven right now jamming with Frank. So Kahlil, are you ready to treat these people to Time is Money?
Yeah, tell them they can sing along if they want.
Come along if you want.
Come along if you dare.
Sabbagh. Thank you, Kahlil. Please stick around because Kahlil will be playing a song with Stinkfoot, a couple songs, and now to end my final benediction, I'm also going to bring up the great bass player Joey from Stinkfoot, and he's going to illustrate because I talked a little about doo-wop music and Frank's roots in this very area of LA. And this is first 30 seconds from a song by the Paragons called Let's Start All Over Again.
Let's fall in love like the birds and the bees. Come to me, darling. Stay with me, please. Let we fall in love and start it over again,
Thank you, Joey. Is that fucking amazing? Now you might have been, you might have been fortunate enough to discover "Oh in the Sky" on YouTube by the Mothers in Britain on TV. I fucking shit my pants when I heard Ray Estrada sing this.
oh, in the sky,
That's an original composition by Frank Zappa. Yeah, right. Frank said, a genius is someone who steals and you can't tell who they stole it from. How many people knew that was originally the Paragons? I had asked the great Steve Probst and what's his name, Jim Dawson, and all these guys who studied L.A. doo-wop, and he told me that's where Frank got that one from. It's back to Kahlil's song, Time is Money. Space is a long, long time. In the middle of Time is Money, you hear the words cloud in the sky. That's a conceptual continuity, because it's the couch in the sky, excuse me. That's the sofa. That's conceptual continuity. So, you know, James Joyce wrote the words, where the hand of man never set foot. Frank Zappa wrote the words, Stinkfoot, Stinkfoot, I ain't lying. So when you die, you go to heaven. This is where you really gotta laugh, dude. You're loving this one. You're gonna shit your pants at this one. So when you die, you go to heaven, and you get there to the pearly gates, and St. Pete's standing there, and you peek in and you see the Stinkfoot Orchestra rocking Teenage Combo Supreme. And you say to St. Pete, wow, you have Stinkfoot Orchestra here in heaven? And St. Pete goes, that's all we got. Now dig this. The flip of that, because in order to understand life, you got to walk forward, but in order to understand it, you got to walk backwards. The flip is that the joke can be reversed to your arrival in hell. And you peek in and the same thing happens. Now, it's going to be hellish if you all don't vote. So you know that Frank, in 1970, started encouraging people to register to vote and vote. Now, I know all you smart-ass motherfuckers are out there going, if God wanted us to vote, he would have created candidates. And you know, it's a choice between Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And it's like, here's the one I love to hear. If you tell someone you should vote, they go, don't encourage it. Well, fuck you, because Frank said this to all of us, the Wizard of Oz. And this is it. This is what he said. Democracy does not work unless you participate. 2, this is Frank Zappa for 50 fucking years telling you people to go vote. 2, this is a Frank Zappa quote, if you don't know your rights, how can you stand up for them? And number 3, keep the government out of your underpants. So I'm glad you're clapping, and I hope you put that to action, because this is do something. Yeah, there's action. So Steve Allen, right near here, in 1963, had a 22-year-old Frank Zappa on his TV show.
The bicycle, right?
I'm playing the bicycle. And Steve said a couple great things. He says, now Frank, I congratulate you on your farsightedness. And as for your music, don't ever do it around here again. That's what I say to Stinkfoot. Okay, but I love these guys. This is an amazing band. You guys are really smart to come out tonight. Now, Frank also advised, because he did a live collage jam with Steve Allen's band. And he says, do you have any instructions for the band? He says, yeah, have them refrain from any musical tones. Steve Allen goes, oh, that's easy. But, tonight we're going to have Stinkfoot Orchestra flip that, tetradic flip, as Marshall McLuhan would say, to what Warren Cucurullo said so wisely in Baby Snakes. He says, we're here and everybody thinks Frank Zappa's such a wild man. They don't know that notes are involved. That's the beauty of Stinkfoot Orchestra. They know that both the notes are involved and they know how to have fun. So thank you so much. I have a bunch of bullshit paperwork for free, Zappa souvenirs over there in the old people section. Come over and talk to me, and make sure you do what Frank always advised, have a good time.